Hey YouTube, Mark here. Today it's my night for cooking dinner, and I'm going to make something that our family has really grown to really love, and that is Tikka Masala with naan bread. Very simple, very easy to do. A little cutting, a little chopping, but not much. It's usually just measuring out more of the spices and stuff like that. That's your big time consumer. But right now I'm just going to do the marinade because I want to get that in the refrigerator. Get that in there for at least an hour. All right, if you can do it and have it set overnight, that'd be perfect. I'm running kind of a little behind, so I'm only going to have it in there for maybe 5 or 6 hours instead of making it last night and having it set. So, but this is what we're going to need, and like I said, it's really easy, so let's get into this. First thing we need are 3 skinless, boneless chicken breasts, 1 half-cup container of just a plain yogurt, nothing flavored. If you don't want to get the little half-cup size, I think this is technically like a 5-ounce container. You can get a bigger container and just measure out your half-cup. I have 6 minced garlic cloves, a little piece of ginger root that I'm going to mince up. We have kosher salt. We will not be putting it into our dish today. My wife is eating with us. She's on that low sodium thing, so no salt for us. But if you put it in there, I think it's 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of paprika, 2 teaspoons of garam masala, 2 teaspoons of cumin, the juice from 1 lemon. If you use the stuff in the bottle, I would say 2 tablespoons, okay? But I'm just going to use the juice from 1 whole lemon. And that's it. That's all we really need to do just the marinade, okay? Now, I'll go through another set of ingredients when we actually get into making the sauce. But right now, we need to get that chicken cut up. We need to get the ginger all minced up. Get it all into a zip top bag, which I have right here. I also have a bowl ready to go to put all my ingredients into just to get the marinade all mixed in. I got my measuring spoons to measure out my ingredients. Let's go. Okay, the first thing I want to do is I want to mince up my garlic. This garlic's actually been kind of old. It's been sitting in the freezer for quite a while, but it's still good. So just gonna quickly peel off all this skin, just like that. Probably not a great angle for you. I'm just going to cut strips. Take about half that pile, cut strips again, making basically matchsticks. Then I'm going to take all that and just mince it and chop it fine. You can keep going over it and over it and over it and making it smaller and smaller. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Get out the remaining pieces of my ginger and do the same. There, I think that looks pretty good. Probably a little more than a tablespoon there, but close enough. Just going to put that right into my bowl. Alright, now pretty much everything else just gets dumped right into the bowl. Put my garlic in there. My 2 teaspoons of salt if I wanted to. I'm not doing that this time. 2 teaspoons of paprika, 2 teaspoons of tikka masala, 2 teaspoons of cumin. Oh, that one doesn't fit. And then of course the juice of 1 lemon. Now the reason I'm doing this, I'm squeezing the juice into my hand, is just so I can catch the seeds. Alright, then I just need my yogurt. Add my yogurt to my bowl here and just mix it all together. That's it. Your marinade is done. Okay, my next step is I actually want to take my chicken and I want it just cubed up. I don't want whole chicken breasts, and I want my cubes about a bite size. I mean a nice hearty bite size. I'll probably cut this in 3 to 4 strips. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. And then I'm just going to take the strips and make those into good bite-sized chunks. Then I'm going to take the chicken and put it in a zip top bag. So there's one. Okay, so I got all my chicken in the bag. Then what I'm going to do is just take the sauce and pour it in, or I should say my marinade. Gonna zip that closed. I'm just going to shake it all up, make sure everything gets coated. I'm going to put the bag on a pan and put the pan in the fridge. Okay guys, now that the marinade is in the fridge, I'm going to show you what I got on the counter now because I want to start measuring and pre-cutting everything that we need to make the actual sauce. So let me show you what we got going on now. Okay, we're going to need a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. This is just a light olive oil. You can use vegetable oil, whatever you want. Dice up 1 large onion. We're going to need a couple more tablespoons of ginger. I got 8 garlic cloves here, all minced up, ready to go. Now these are the 3 spices that we used in the marinade: the cumin, the garam masala, and the paprika. We're going to need 2 more teaspoons of those. Plus we're also going to need 2 more teaspoons of these 3. We've got chili powder, turmeric, and coriander. So we need 2 cans of tomato sauce. I want no salt version here. You can use a regular salted version if you'd like, but I'm trying to keep it no salt for Jen. We only need 1 tablespoon of tomato paste, and I've got a secret. We're going to use 1 1/4 cups of water. We're going to use a cup of half and half or heavy cream. Either one, doesn't matter. And we're going to chop up some cilantro or parsley. I've got parsley here. We're going to chop up maybe a 1/4 cup of this just as a last minute addition, just to have a little green color into the sauce. Okay, so here's my secret on the tomato paste. We've been getting a lot of recipes that just call for like 1 or 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Well, what do you do with the can once you got it open? I mean, if you don't use it a whole lot, then what do you do with it? You freeze it. So what I've got here, I've actually got 1 tablespoon portions of tomato paste, and they're frozen. So that's kind of cool. All I gotta do is just take 1 of these and throw it in, or 2, or whatever the recipe calls for. So yeah, if you have something that just calls for a small amount of tomato paste, maybe just like 1 ounce or 2 ounces or a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons, just divide it up and freeze the rest. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop up the onion. I'm going to mince that ginger. I'm going to pre-measure all my spices and stuff. I'm just basically going to get everything ready so that when it's actually time to cook everything, it's all set and ready to go. It's called mise en place. Everything in its place. Okay, so these are all my spices here. I'm just going to put everything into this little bowl. And like I said, I need 2 teaspoons of all 6 of these. Maybe a little short on that turmeric, but that's all right. There we go, we got all the spices all measured out. Okay, the next thing I want to do is I just want to cut up the onion and the ginger, and everything along with the garlic will go right into this bowl. So put the garlic in there now. I only need a couple of tablespoons, so I'm just going to say that's about how much I need right there. Go through, give this a little peel. Now I could do this with a regular vegetable peeler, but to me the knife just seems to go a little faster. Now just like I did on the first one, I'm just going to slice them really thin. Lay down about half of it. Slice again to make those matchsticks. Then turn it. And we're just going to dice them all up nice and fine. Okay, that's about half of it. I'm going to go through and do the other half now. So there we go, there's my diced ginger. Again, probably more than what I really need, but oh well, I'll use it. Alright, now we're going to chop up an onion. Going to slice it in half. We're going to cross cut, not all the way through. And we're going to make maybe two slices that way. Alright, I'm going to put all this into the bowl. I'll do the same thing for this one. Okay, that's all my veggies all chopped up and ready to go. Now we're going to make naan bread to go with this. It's a very traditional bread. It is a yeast bread, so it's got to be all put together with the yeast, let it rise, punch it down, all this other stuff. And she's really good at making it, so I'm going to let her go ahead and make it for you. I'll just record her doing it. Alright, so Jen's here. She's going to start doing the process on making the naan. She's going to let you know what the ingredients are, how much of it, and then we'll get into mixing it all up.
Okay, so I'm making naan, which is basically a fried flatbread, traditional Indian dish, I guess, to go with the tikka masala. We just generally find recipes on the internet to make most of our stuff. This one in particular comes from All Recipe, very basic yeast bread. So you do need a little bit of time to get this together. So the ingredients that we have today, we're going to use some yeast, plain old white sugar, milk, an egg, salt. We particularly like the kosher salt. The recipe itself calls for bread flour. We're just going to use plain old all-purpose flour and some butter.
Some of you may also be wondering why we're putting salt in because of Jen's salt restriction. But if you guys make a bread and you don't put salt in it, it is the flattest damn thing to ever eat. It's got like no flavor whatsoever.
Okay, so my recipe says 1 package of active dry yeast, and you will notice that this is a rather large package. No, you do not use the entire jar. Rule of thumb, and it will state this on the package as well, approximately 2 1/4 teaspoons will equal your 1 package of active dry yeast. 1, 2, and 1/4 teaspoons, and then I'm also going to pull about a cup of warm water from the sink. We're going to mix the water and the yeast together to kind of wake the yeast up and get it moving. I will generally take a little whisk or a spoon and just sort of break up any clumps so that all of the yeast can get hit by that nice warm water. The yeast in the warm water is going to sit and wake up for about 10 minutes. 3 tablespoons of milk and a little extra. 1/4 cup of sugar, an egg. Okay, so it says 2 teaspoons of salt. I think because of my salt restriction, I am going to cut it in half.
It's only 1 teaspoon?
So I'm only going to use 1 teaspoon. Throw it right in the milk, wherever, because it's all going to end up in there in a couple minutes anyway. All right, so now I'm going to measure out 4.5 cups of flour.
Yep, this is baking, so you scoop and sweep.
Well, I scoop, tap, and then sweep. Just because I'm a little worried about air pockets.
See, I would think doing that, you might end up with too much because you're kind of packing it all down.
Which is why I only tap twice. 3. See? Can you see it? There's a pocket.
Yeah, but look at all that stuff that's on the top, though, so I would leave it.
Now that's a pretty good pocket. I'm going to redo that one. 4, and so it's 4.5. You can either eyeball the half, you know, just with this cup, or you can grab a 1/2 cup measure.
She's anal. She'll grab the 1/2 cup measure.
Yes. 4.5. And there we have all our mise en place.
So everything's ready to go.
Well, that moved right along. My 10 minutes is up. Now we're going to move on to the next step. So the next thing we're going to do is add sugar, milk, eggs, and salt, and enough flour to make a soft dough. So, sugar, the milk, and the salt, and the egg. So here's my hand mixer, and I'm just going to turn it on low to get everything moving.
Basically just enough to beat the egg a little bit.
Yep. All right, I'm going to start adding my flour. I'm going to repurpose my measuring cup from earlier. That's probably about a cup. We'll start with that. That's pretty well incorporated. I'll add a little more. Again, probably about a cup. Bread dough gets super thick, and it's going to be too much for these. We're going to get to the point where it's just too thick for those to handle. We're going to switch to bread hooks. I think we are probably to the point where my little hand mixer just can't cut the mustard anymore. So now it's time to get medieval. Gonna take off
taking off the sweater. She's got to work at it now.
We are gonna throw some flour on the cupboard and knead by hand.
That's only because she wants to. If she would have used our stronger stand mixer, she wouldn't have to do that.
True. So I'm also taking off my jewelry and my watch, because even though it's too much for the little hand mixer to handle, this bread dough is still really wet. I'm gonna tie the hair back. See? It's wet. So you throw a little of your flour down on the cupboard. Since we're working on the cupboard,
Step stool.
I'm gonna use a step stool. Alright. Throw a little flour on top. And this is the medieval part. And this dough is really wet. It is just picking up the flour super fast. As you can see, it's kind of a fold and push. Fold and push. For you medical people out there, it's almost like CPR. The recipe says 6 to 8 minutes worth of kneading. Alright, I think we're almost done with the kneading here.
But you got a lot of flour left.
Bread making, especially when it comes to incorporating the flour, there is wiggle room.
So some flours will absorb better, and the recipe was also calling for a bread flour, right?
Yes.
So that might mix in different than the all-purpose that you're using.
When you are done kneading, you will have a dry-ish dough ball. So the next stage is to let your dough rise or proof for about 30 minutes. I tend to use my oven as a proofing box. So I am going to grease a bowl here. So I have greased my bowl. Bread dough is not tender. You do not have to be gentle. I also throw a little tea towel over the top. You just pop it in your warmish oven.
For how long?
30 minutes or until doubled. So we'll start with our 30 minutes. And if we feel like the dough is big enough at that point, we'll take it out and move to the next step.
Meanwhile, on my side of things, my meat, the chicken, has been in here marinating. I'm going to flip it because, it's been maybe an hour or two. So there, all flipped. What was that? You lied to these guys? You lied to these lovely people that subscribe to my channel and watch my cooking video? What in the world is your problem?
I misread my recipe.
Oh, is that all?
That's all.
Oh, okay.
The half hour comes in later. This initial proofing on the bread dough, we need to let it rise for an hour. So I'm just going to adjust my timer by 30 minutes. Hey, look at that, my timer's going off. It's been an hour. Let's take a look at the dough and see if we've doubled. Nice and warm in there yet, but not too hot.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Definitely doubled. Punch down the dough. This is fun. This is really fun. And yes, you do hit it with some force.
You don't need to do that.
Okay, so now we need to divide the dough up into individual portions. Make them approximately the same size. If you want to get really anal, you can pull out a scale.
Which I'm actually surprised you don't do.
I was just going to say, don't laugh. I have done it. Now we can cover it with a towel. My nice, pretty New Zealand towel. All right. And we just let the yeast do its thing for at least another 30 minutes.
So we are in the process of melting a half a stick of butter. We have a flat griddle set at about 350-ish.
The dough balls have risen nicely. So now I'm just flattening the dough balls down, making little discs out of them.
She did put a little oil on the griddle as well.
You should be able to get 5, maybe 6 of them on there at a time. We're just gonna flop them on the griddle and cook them for a couple minutes on each side. And just before we flip them, we're gonna hit them with a little butter. I'm just goofing around now.
Now she's making them even thinner. So these are the original ones. Now she's going that thin. Wow.
Okay, they've been going probably about 2 minutes now. And I'm being kind of generous with the butter. Ooh.
Another dust coating of butter on the underside that you just flipped over.
All right, I think these are done. We'll just do 3 since these are bigger.
On those electric griddles, when you're down here by the plug, that's your hottest spot, is right there.
Now those look good. We gotta make sure it's cooked all the way through. And it is.
Yep, it is. Wow, look at that.
Half for you, half for me. Nothing like fresh bread.
All right, well, that last batch is still on the griddle, but that's really it. That's naan right there, guys. So, all right, so when we come back, I'll be finishing off the actual tikka masala on the stove. Okay guys, I'm getting ready to start the final process of making this tikka masala. And what I need to do is I need to preheat my broiler. Okay, not the regular oven, the broiler. So I'm going to put that on broil. I'm also going to adjust my racks. I need a rack on my second highest, right underneath the broiler. And now I'm going to start getting the chicken out of the fridge and putting that on a foil-lined pan. Now, I think the original directions on doing this said to put all the chicken pieces on wooden skewers and then put them on a foil-lined pan. I'm not doing that, okay? This is nothing. I mean, really, it was more trouble and time consuming than it was worth. Okay, got my tikka out of the fridge. All I'm going to do is just loosely spread it out and lay it out all over the sheet pan. Just spreading it out on a nice single layer. Okay, I got all my chicken laid out on this foil-lined pan, nice single layer. I got all my other ingredients all laid out over here for the actual sauce. That's all the chopped stuff, the spices, the water, the tablespoon of tomato paste, the tomato sauce, and the half and half. I'm just going to give my oven maybe about 15 minutes or so just to get that broiler nice and hot. Okay guys, I think my broiler's up to temp, so what I want to do is I'm going to put the chicken underneath the broiler. I'm going to set a timer for about 10 minutes. And then I'm going to check it after that 10 minutes. I think it's going to take more time than that, but right then I'm just going to take it. I'm just more or less looking for color than I am doneness. Let's turn the front on about a medium-high-ish setting, and we're going to start getting our pan heated up to start making our sauce. Maybe a tablespoon or 2 of oil, and we'll just get that warming up. Okay, I think my oil is nice and hot now, so I'm going to start throwing in my veggies. So as you can hear, there's someone else in the kitchen for me. If you haven't seen her right now, Jen's actually making up a pot of rice in our rice cooker, and we'll have rice with this meal as well. garlic and that ginger is just, oh, wow. Alright, my vegetables are looking what they call translucent, so they're nice and tender. I'm going to go ahead and throw my spices in. I'm going to stir this around until I can start getting a good, strong, fragrant nose of all those spices. Basically, we're activating all those nice oils and stuff in those spices. Oh yeah, this is good, this is good. Let's add our 1.25 cups of water. We'll do the 2 cans of tomato sauce. And my little frozen tablespoon of tomato paste. Now I just need to wait for that to come up to a simmer. Okay, there's my oven timer. So what I want to do is I want to pull that chicken out. Whew. Oh yeah, getting some nice golden brown colors on the chicken. But what I want to do is I just want to flip them. You don't need to get every single one, but try to get most of them. Alright, that's going to go right back into the broiler. For another 10 minutes. Okay, meanwhile, my sauce has come up to a simmer. Going to drop the heat a little bit. Going to add my heavy cream. Okay, my sauce is really nicely bubbling now, and my timer on my oven is just about done. And in fact, I'm going to peek in to see how it's doing. Perfect. I'm not even going to wait the last 2 minutes. So I'm going to turn off my broiler. Oh yeah. Now all I'm going to do is just put the chicken into the sauce. Alright, now I'm just going to stir the chicken in a little bit. Gonna let this just simmer away for another 2 minutes, and it's time to eat. Okay, for the last 2 minutes here, I'm just gonna pull off the heads on the parsley. Like I said, or you can use cilantro. Okay, the rice cooker is done. Gonna unplug that. Alright, now I'm just going to take all this and give it a quick chop. Okay, that's it. Like I said, just a nice rough chop. I only need like a 1/4 cup. I think I did about 1/2 cup. Alright, the masala is good. Just going to take a good handful of my parsley. Sprinkle it on. Give it a slight stir. And there we go, dinner served. That looks pretty darn good, guys. Smells just amazing. Little sauce with the rice. That's really good. Very hot though. No, Tabasco, cayenne hot, temperature hot. Okay, nice big bite of chicken here. It's hot. Of course, the naan bread that Jen made. And this bread is really good. I'm sopping up the extra sauce. So, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you try this one. It's really, really good. So, this is Mark saying, I'll see you on the road.